Welcome to The Purpose Effect, the space where we get honest, we get intentional, and we get aligned with the life God designed for us. I'm Alesha, your host on Mondays. My friend David is your host on Wednesdays, and Fridays we do it together. Our mission is simple: to help you stop floating through life and start living with purpose, clarity, and action. And you guys, today I am so excited. I have an amazing guest on, and I will tell you, I got to see her speak, gosh, it's a year and a half ago down in Florida at a conference, and she just blew me away with her insight and her passion. And so I'm excited to have her here. Let me just share with you a little bit about her. So she is an award-winning, best-selling author of Self-Sabotage No More and Stuck No More, an inspirational speaker and the Clear and Amplify coach. With a background in counseling, Jennie works with high-performing entrepreneurs and leaders to help them clear emotional patterns, subconscious blocks, and nervous system responses that quietly limit your success. Her work bridges deep emotional healing with high-level business and identity support, helping clients clear what no longer serves them so that they can broadcast clarity, confidence, and aligned expansion. She is known for helping driven, successful people release old emotional weight, end self-sabotage, and move forward with greater ease, focus, and momentum in both life and business. She currently lives on the west coast of Vancouver Island with her family. And I'll tell you guys, just hearing that about Jennie, does it not make you want to just sit here and just listen to everything she has to say? It is so cool what she is doing and how she is changing lives. And it lines up so well with the purpose effect. And so I'm excited to have you on here, Jennie. Thank you so much for today, for being here and just to share your passion. I have a lot I want us to cover over the next half an hour, so we will see what we can do. But let's just start with Jennie. As I'm reading your bio, how did you get started in all this? Like, what made you go from all of this to helping people? Can you share a little of your story?
Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much, by the way, Alesha, for having me on. The Purpose Effect, like that is the most incredible title and purpose for you. My divine mission, my purpose is to help people get out of their own way and step into their best lives. And really, the reason that I got so passionate about that purpose was I had my own decade or more of self-sabotage. So where I did all the wrong things, chose all the wrong things. If you were to say, Jennie, this is a good idea and this is a very bad idea, I would choose the very bad idea every single time. And so I did a lot of my own healing. I was always, even when I was a little girl, I was dreaming about being a healer, or like I would daydream about sitting outside a hospital and just touching people as they came and just healing them. That was a daydream. I wanted to be a counselor. I wanted to help people always. And I went through this very broken phase. And after that phase, I started to heal and I started to learn about affirmations and I started to learn about healing methods and modalities. And I did all kinds of things. And I ended up going to counseling school, opening my own counseling practice. And I almost immediately knew that it wasn't for me, because what I really wanted to do was help people that were like elite entrepreneurs. I didn't know that at the time, but I wanted to help people who were like already doing well, already dreaming more, wanting to dream bigger, but why were they stuck? Why were they getting in their own way? And it's a long story to get to where I got from that moment, from that like first client in the clinic. And I was like, oh no, what have I done? But I became a network marketer. I became a coach. I became an entrepreneur in many different ways. And I realized a few years ago, everybody knows what to do, Alesha. For the most part, everybody knows what to do. You know that every day, if you go for a half an hour walk, you sleep better, feel better, life is better. But you don't necessarily go for that walk every day. Why? And when you set a goal to lose some weight and then you go buy a bucket of ice cream and eat the whole thing, why? And when you want to be a successful entrepreneur, but you don't tell anyone about your product or your business, why? So it was like I was working with people that knew what to do, but they weren't doing it. And so it's probably more, I keep saying a few years, but it's probably 5 years now. I dove into what makes us do what we do and not do what we don't do. And so I discovered a few things along the way, and I've just been very passionate about helping people kind of address those variables and transform their lives and step into their purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. Which I love how you share even at a young age, you wanted to be a part of helping people and helping them heal or whatever. And I think that oftentimes when I talk to people about purpose, they're like, I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know what I have, what I enjoy. And it sometimes we have to go back to when we were even younger. Like God, I think, created this innate purpose in each one of us, and life happens and it gets buried or we forget it and we just go about our day. And so I love how you bring that, I think, in such a powerful perspective by just bringing that back and going, this is part of what I wanted to do even when I was a kid. Now, I didn't have the
Mhm.
tools, I didn't know how to do it, but
Mhm.
then you took the journey to do it
Yeah.
and to find that purpose. What did you have? Some just really, you said you started some counseling and got into that one. Ooh, wait, no, I don't know if I want to. Was there any really pivotal moments for you that now you look back that was very life changing or very profound?
The start of my healing journey, I always share, didn't know about affirmations. I had left a very abusive relationship, and I was by myself. I don't want to say I had nothing. I had a sleeping bag on the floor behind me. I had a couple pots and pans in the kitchen. But I had met this healer the day before, and she had said to me, "What do you want for your life?" And I didn't know. Like, I literally wanted her to tell me because I just was so not purpose filled. I was so lost and broken and self-loathing. And I just felt like there was a small light in me that knew I was meant for more, but it was so small. I always say I was like a lantern dipped in mud. And I often see people like that. Everyone is a lantern with a bright, beautiful light, but many of us are dipped in mud. And so that started my journey of clearing the mud, which she gave me 3 affirmations. She wanted me to come up with my own. I couldn't. I just literally was like, I don't know. I don't know. And she goes, what do you think about every day? And I was like, I didn't want to tell her, but I said, I hate myself. I'm ugly. And I like, how could anyone ever love me? I don't love me. So I'm unlovable. I'm ugly and I'm not even worthy of love. And so she was like, huh, okay. And so she just said, I want you to go home and I want you to look in the mirror. And every day I want you to say, I love myself. I'm beautiful. I'm worthy of love. And it still chokes me up because back then, sleeping bag on the floor behind me, couple of pots and pans in the kitchen, I'm staring in the mirror and I couldn't look myself in the eye those first times. Like, I'm like willing myself, like, just say it, like, I love myself. I'm worthy of love. And it makes me emotional now because now, if you said to me, Jennie, tell me 50 things that are amazing about you right now, go, I could tell you, right? Like fast, because I've gotten so good at being my own cheerleader, my own support. And I think a lot of people along the way, Alesha, like they forget that you are with you all day long and you get to choose whatever you're saying to yourself all day long. Like it is your choice. It might feel like it's not a choice, but it is your choice. And so a lot of people have these automated, brutal thoughts, right? That they would never say out loud. They would never say to their children. They would never say to their spouse or a friend, but they say to themselves. And I think like I caught the inner critic and I started to be the inner cheerleader. And it took me a long time. Like that's why I developed these new tools, is because you don't want to take decades like rewiring. You can take a moment and rewire. You can take 20 minutes and completely transform your life. But some of it is on automation. And the most powerful thing I heard the other day was, I heard it said differently. Somebody said, that your thoughts are not descriptors of your reality, they're instructions for the future. So when
Wow.
you think a thought, it's not a descriptor, it's an instruction. So if that's true, right? Isn't that
Yeah.
cool? Like
Wow.
it was like, oh my goodness, like that's such an epiphany for me.
Yes.
And I've been living it for 20 years or so. Is
Goodness.
yeah. So what do you want? What are you thinking? What are you
Yes.
speaking? What are you saying? How many times a day do you say I'm a hot mess, or I'm always late, or I never
Mhm.
win, or
Yep.
nobody ever hears me, or I never get what I want, or the things you don't want to say, you don't want to instruct your future, you don't want to create. Like, how many times a day are you saying those things?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh, and I think what I love, and you hit on that so well, of it's a choice. I think oftentimes we think I'll be in conversations with people and they'll say something like somebody did this to me and this happened because of what they did, and I'm like, whoa, hold on. Let's step back and realize the power that you have in every
yeah.
situation, that
Mhm.
you speak into it, and that you can pivot and you have a choice in how you respond to it, but you also have a choice in, yeah, what goes on in your mind. I know the days I've spoken a lot on this podcast about my mental health over the years and depression and anxiety, and how much of that was fueled by the thoughts that were going on in my head that I lived in. Mostly all of them were negative. Like you talk about those things of I'm just not worthy. I am just taking up space and all these things. And I would sit in them and I would just let them go. And it was a choice that I made to sit in them. And now I've made this choice to go, no, hold on. I'm not staying in those choices, like those thoughts, and really
Mhm.
taking those captive and pivoting and speaking life and
Mhm.
speaking just this purpose and this vision and being very intentional walking it out. So if you look back on those moments and how you pivoted, it sounds like it was a struggle for you at first to identify it, though. Like it didn't come naturally,
Like,
or
I used a tool. I pictured a stop sign
okay.
every time I had a negative thought, if I caught it, because awareness is the first piece. It's just even being aware that you're thinking the thoughts and saying the things and feeling the feelings, because they're all connected. You have the thought, then you feel bad, then you do a bad action. So they're all like, it's just this cycle. And or you do the bad action, you have the bad thought, you have the bad feel, like they're all connected all the time. So most people think they're not in control of their thoughts. So once you're aware, oh, I am in control of my thoughts, and some of those thoughts are just automation. So I need to like shift that. So I would picture a stop sign and then say out loud something better. So some people will stand on scripture, like just have one scripture that they always repeat whenever they say something negative to themselves. Other people will just reframe. So if they're, I'm ugly, then they'll say, I'm beautiful. I also like the cancel, cancel, cancel. So if you say something out loud that you don't want or don't mean, or think something that you don't want or don't mean, then you go cancel, cancel. But my favorite thing now, and I tell people to get this, if I'm like, if you're gonna get a tattoo, get this tattooed on your arm. Okay. What's a better feeling thought? What's a better feeling thought? Because sometimes people think they need to go from depression to joy. And you've
Yes.
been depressed. You know what it's like. It's
Yeah.
hard to put your shoes on when you're depressed.
Yes.
It's hard to just drink a glass of water when you're
Yes.
depressed, right? So when you're depressed, to think a better thought, like to go from depression to joy, is actually really hard. To go from ugly to beautiful is actually really hard. So
Mm.
instead of going from ugly to I am ugly to I am beautiful, let's go I am ugly to I'm looking younger every day, or
Mm.
I'm excited about the new clothes that I have, or I'm working on my self-image, like something that feels better. It doesn't have to be like 10 steps better. It can just be slightly better,
Yeah.
but that's vibration. So
Mm.
we always want to like work on how do we vibrate a little bit
Yeah.
higher, for lack of a better way of
Yes.
saying, it, right? How do
Yeah.
we shift gears up?
That's so
Yeah.
powerful. It's super interesting that you talk about that. I was just talking to one of my kiddos about just the highs and lows in life. And I look back over my life and the times that I was in my darkest, I would have these, yeah, I'd be doing good. And then all of a sudden I would just get really low and I would hit this low and I'd be there for long periods of time. And then I
Mhm.
come back up and then I get this low and learning. And I think it ties into exactly what you just said is I've learned these different tools and techniques and steps that I don't get this crazy low anymore and it's
Mhm.
shortened. And I
Yeah.
think it's those kind of things like when, you know what, Okay, so you can't go from down here to really low to way up here. Let's
Mhm.
start this slow moment. And now I look, it is so easy for me to think positive thoughts. It is so
Mhm.
easy for me when I have a negative thought come in, because it's not that the thoughts just go away.
Mhm.
They're less, but they'll still pop in. It's how long do I stay with them and how
Yeah.
frequent. And so knowing to control it to where it's not this low and just staying.
Mhm.
But I love that. You said, what was that? The stop sign one is one of them.
Yeah, so just picturing a stop
Okay.
sign and then you stand on scripture or stand on an affirmation that you know, because sometimes it's hard to find it. If you're
Yeah.
depressed, it's hard to find a better feeling thought. It's hard to find something that's good to say. So
Yes.
if you have scripture memorized,
Yeah.
stand on that. But even if it's just a saying like, I'm getting better every day, or I'm working on getting better every day, that's a better feeling sentence than any negative thought. And you want to resonate with it as if it's true. Because the other thing that people do when they do their affirmations and they stand in front of the mirror and they do their I am statements like, I am beautiful or I am a millionaire or whatever it is, a lot of times what happens is you trigger those unprocessed emotions. And so instead of broadcasting, and I'll explain that in a sec, but instead of broadcasting, I'm beautiful, you broadcast, I'm an imposter, or I'm a liar, or I'm actually ugly. And so it does the opposite of what you're trying to do with your I am statements. I created something called affirmations, which I write about in my book, Stuck No More, where I have people not just do I am statements, but I am, I feel, I choose, I appreciate, I declare, I envision, I resonate with, and I co-create with God. And so you shift your like mindset to embodying whatever that new thing is, whether it's like loving yourself or being abundant or creating what you want to create, shifting into a new vibration, a new embracing of whatever that affirmation is, whatever it is you want to shift in your life, getting really good at speaking it out in lots of different ways.
Yeah. And starting it, I think that is, you have a good point of, I think we encourage people to go from, oh, you're on this negative to let's go, whoa, so high. And they do all of a sudden it's this isn't, I'm lying to myself. This isn't even true. This isn't even real. And then there's this, I think this constant, I've failed. There's another reason why I failed. And to just do that small shifting and to just put those out there. So what, as you work with people and as you have really helped dial in these different methods, what are some of your clients seeing? What are some of the transitions they're experiencing?
First of all, I was saying broadcast before, and what I mean by that is like most of us have some trauma or unprocessed stuff, and it's quietly playing in the background. So I always say I see people as if they're radios playing a whole bunch of songs. So if you imagine that old emotions that you haven't dealt with are quietly playing in the background, some are louder, some are quieter, but they're playing in the background. And so when you say something like, I'm beautiful to the mirror, you might trigger this old unprocessed emotion that suddenly gets loud from when a bully called you ugly in grade 5 and it landed and you never let that go. And what happens is you trigger old stuff. And so what I do with clients is I tune into their broadcast and I help them clear those old unprocessed emotions and some of the stuff we inherit. So like some of us can inherit like guilt from our family, stubbornness, anxiety. I cleared anxiety from a woman on a weekend that colleague and I did. And she literally like just didn't need her medication. She'd had her medication for anxiety medication for 10 years. And I cleared inherited anxiety. And the next day she didn't need her medication. Sometimes we're just carrying stuff that is not ours to
Yeah.
carry. And we can release it in a moment. And some people believe, or many people believe, that healing takes years and a long time, and it doesn't. You can miraculously heal in a moment. So, yeah,
Yeah.
so I work with people to identify their broadcast, clear the old broadcast, and then intentionally create a new one, which is abundance, beauty, love, self-love, all of those things, whatever they want to create in their lives. And when we do that, we create that new broadcast. What usually happens is After the first session, most people say, I feel lighter.
Yeah.
So people will say it's like having 10 therapy sessions in one. You don't have to do a lot of talking. I'm just tuning in. I'll clear stuff, probably makes sense to most people, feel like it makes sense. Oh yeah, that's when my parents got divorced, or I know exactly what that is, or whatever that is. And then, so we clear those unprocessed emotions, that underlying stuff. We clear limiting beliefs. Those also have kind of a vibration. And when I say vibration, like sometimes people get a bit funny about like frequency and vibration and energy, right? But when you have fear, for example, if you were to step out on the street, Alesha, and you saw a car move really fast, your kidneys would pulse the vibration of fear, which would let your body know to release adrenaline, cortisol, neurotransmitters, communication, like a whole bunch of stuff happens when it feels that vibration. Your whole body feels the vibration of fear. And in a dream scenario, it rises up and out. Like it's just there to tell you, like, hey, get off the street and back onto the sidewalk. But some of us don't like the feeling of fear or anxiety or anger. Or when we were kids, we were taught to wipe that look off your face. And so what happens is people push it down and they just keep pushing down. And then that's why you have like adults acting like children, or like having tantrums, or you get triggered every time your mom says something, every single Thanksgiving dinner. These things sit latent and then they light up. And so what I do with people is I help them feel more neutral in a positive way, so that they understand that they can't control others, and they can learn to be on purpose without getting in their own way.
I think it's super powerful when you think of that God created all of this in such an amazing way. And sometimes you go, oh, no, that doesn't do with scripture. No, God created all these frequencies, all this stuff that we sometimes don't want to get into or we disregard. And I think it's such a powerful thing that we have to be looking at and aware of. And I do think it ties into how oftentimes like I would get to that point where I'd be just so explosive. And I would all of a sudden I'd be talking and all of a sudden I would go from 1 to 10 like super fast. I'm like, where did that come from? And it's that stuff that had been storing in there that I had to deal with and I had to process. And I also agree with the fact that we can do it quickly. It doesn't have to take all this time. In fact, I just did a podcast on the book of Haggai in the Old Testament. And it talked about how so quickly the prophet came and said, hey, we need to get our priorities straight. Our priorities are totally off. We were supposed to build the temple, and now for 15 years we've been doing our own thing and God's calling us back. And within 23 days, they were able to round up the people and they began to build the temple. And it really showed how God doesn't always want us to take a long time on things, that we can move quickly in things. We do not have to stay where we're at and think, because I think a lot of people go, oh, it's going to take forever for me to shift and to experience this freedom that you gals are talking about. I don't have the time. I don't want to invest in it. But it can be a quick process. It doesn't have to take forever. And it's creating that level of awareness to go, wait a second, you guys, let's think things through a little bit and just begin to identify those areas that they don't have to hold us back. I know you talked a little bit before we got on here, you have a method called the alarm method. Can you share a little bit more about that and maybe even walk us through exactly how that works? I'm very intrigued.
Yes. Okay. So the alarm method, this is if you feel triggered. This is like mom says something at Thanksgiving, or you're irritated making dinner because your husband made a comment, or whatever. You just have an emotion. Maybe you're procrastinating about doing something you really need to get done, but you're procrastinating. The first thing you do, so the alarm method is an acronym. So A is for awareness. So this is just literally awareness around what I'm feeling. So the awareness around what you're feeling. So let's just pretend you're procrastinating about something that you need to get done. I want you to just check in. What am I feeling? Now, a lot of people will say shame that they're procrastinating, or angry that they have to do the task, or fearful, or anxiety around not doing the task. So everyone's a little different. So just notice what that feeling is. And then once you've identified it, let's just pretend it's anxiety. Once you've identified it, the next is L. So A, then L. L is for location. So where in your body do you feel that anxiety? So a lot of people will feel anxiety in their tummy. Some people will say chest, and other people will feel it knees, head, shoulders. But just notice where you're feeling it. So the location. And then just take a moment and ask yourself, and don't do this driving. It's like funny, not funny, but I did it once driving. I started bawling, and it doesn't normally happen. But of course, like I had the memory like of when I'd felt it before, and it was like not a good memory. And so I do warn you, don't do this driving. So A is for awareness, L is for location, and the next A is for ask. When have I felt this before? Ask the question, when have I felt this before? And sometimes a memory will pop up. It might be random. You didn't have the right shoes for basketball. Someone made fun of you. You started your business and asked someone and they didn't want to buy your product. It's just a random, it feels a little random, but it's a memory. And that's great. If you have a memory, awesome. If you don't, it's okay. Just go to the next step. It kind of uncovers for us that question if there is an underlying thing. Like some people will say, when have I felt this before? I felt this my whole life. I felt this since I was a child. I never belong. And they'll expand on it because it's been a real theme in their lives. Ask the question, and then R is just for the release. And so simply all you do is go to the area that you're feeling it in your body, relax that area, take a few nice deep breaths. And then literally from shoulder to wrist. And there's a couple reasons why we do that. I'm not even going to get into it, but just understand that action, your body, your mind will know, oh, we're clearing. You're going to clear it on anxiety. You can do it more than 3 times. If you feel like, oh no, there's more, just clear whatever feels good. 3 to 10 is usually you're going to cover things. And then M is for mantra. And mantra is really just, what do I want to feel? I want to feel peaceful. I want to feel motivated. I want to feel energetic. So then you can do the same movement. I'm at peace, I'm at peace, I'm at peace, or even just speak it out. And so that's the alarm method. Essentially awareness, location, ask the question, release, and mantra. And release is really relax and release.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. And it's something that's super simple that anybody can do. It just takes being intentional and
Yeah.
pausing to do it. And I think that's what I'm hoping is to really be teaching people ways of just slowing down, being intentional, because
Mhm.
in order to experience shifts in life, we have to be intentional. Like it's
Mhm.
not, life isn't just going to happen the way we want it to if we just float on through. We have to be intentional. And I think what a powerful tool for people
Mhm.
to know and to utilize. And it's digging deeper. It's not just like this shallow little, oh, now feel good. Now move on with your day. It's, hey, let's dig in a little bit to these deeper things because that is what really spurs so much on is the deeper things that are under the surface that we've just been putting off or we don't want to deal with. And so I really
Or
appreciate you
just,
sharing
yeah,
that.
we don't want to see them. Oftentimes they're the reasons why we're not going to the next level, not hitting that rank, not making more money, not moving forward in our business, not applying for the dream job. Like often it's the reason behind it's the fear behind. So if there's something that you really want to do, identify the feeling and clear it. And it's like magic. Like I literally had wanted to write a book since I don't even remember. So my whole life I wanted to write a book. I did this work. I cleared 496 emotions. And within 3 months of that, I published 2 books.
Oh
So
my
like I am talking, most people are walking through life trying to move forward as if they're chest deep in water and with weights around their ankles. And when you do this exercise, if you can do it consistently, the average adult has around 250 unprocessed emotions. If you can do this work and clear these emotions, you will move up into the shallow water, onto the beach, onto the sidewalk. And everything will just feel easier because you no longer have the bully in the schoolyard in the background, the mean aunt or neighbor, or the mean girl, or just the messaging that your parents gave you around money. Or maybe you were told that children were to be seen and not heard, and you're still staying quiet, even though you have so much to say. And so you can identify this stuff and clear it and then step into your purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah, I encourage everybody, like, it took me 3 months to clear everything, but I just consistently just put time aside to do so every
Yeah.
few days. And my whole life has changed since I've done so.
Because they're the foundational core of who we are, like be it truth or not. Like we lay these foundations of I'm worthy or I'm not worthy or this happened to me. And so it's removing those negative things and
Mhm.
identifying the true identity. So
Mhm.
it's just powerful. Oh my goodness. Okay, so let's to wrap this up, share with me what's one powerful takeaway for the person that is back where you were that had nothing positive to say. What would you say to that person right now? What's the one thing, if it's the alarm method or what else could they do?
I think really for me, the pivotal moment was like taking that step of speaking an affirmation, just taking that chance, like knowing, okay, I'm a lantern, I'm dipped in mud. What's one thing I can do today to clear some mud away? There's no right or wrong way, but believing that you can do it quickly is very powerful. If you want to float through life, set that intention. Set the intention. I want to flow through life. I'm easily stepping into my purpose. I heal quickly. I have a miraculous shift. Picture yourself telling your friend 2 weeks from now, oh my gosh, I don't know what happened, but I have shifted miraculously. God has blessed me. My life has changed. I'm in flow. Money's just coming in left and center. Like I'm living my dream job. I'm like, picture yourself telling somebody that's happening. Anything you can listen to that's positive. Like my mentors, when I first started, they were all like podcasts and YouTube videos and books. Yeah. And if this resonates with you, like my book, Self-Sabotage No More, is very small, easy read. And it's the Cole's notes to shifting into a better life.
So if they want to learn more about you, Jenny, or get in touch with you, how can they connect with you and find more about, I'm assuming that you're taking on clients. Can they reach out to you and say, hey, I want to look into your coaching, or what's the next step for somebody to reach out to you?
Sure. I have a couple of ways, but the simplest is if you go to jenniepotter.com, which is JenniePotter.com. You can find me there and my offerings. I usually have group stuff available, and then one-on-one, there is often a wait list, but the group stuff I can usually fit people in. So yeah, those are the ways. And I have a free podcast, same name as the book, lots of resources there and free things on my website too.
Oh, thank you, Jenny. Thank you for being on today and sharing your heart, your story, and ways that people can begin to shift in their life and really experience freedom and dig deeper, not just this surface level, but really get to the some of the core issues that maybe they're struggling with. Welcome to the Purpose Effect, the space where we get honest, we get intentional, and we get aligned with the life God designed for us. I'm Alesha, your host on Mondays. My friend David is your host on Wednesdays, and Fridays we do it together. Our mission is simple: to help you stop floating through life and start living with purpose, clarity, and so I really appreciate you taking the time today. With that, you guys, we are going to wrap up this amazing episode. Thank you for listening to The Purpose Effect. If today's episode spoke to you at all, here's what I would ask is that you subscribe. We're on all major platforms. Share it with a friend. Help spread this movement, you guys, of living a purpose-driven life. And remember, you are called, you are capable, and you were created with intention. Now go and live it.